Here on the weekly Softball Coaches Show with head coach Mickey Dean. Coach, you're a month into the season, a lot of games so far, and you find yourself 17-6 following the non-conference tournament. So why don't you kind of give us a synopsis of what you've seen through the first month with your team?
Well, we want to look at that process and to see how we're progressing as a team. And, if you take the first weekend to this past weekend, I'd say that our progress has been very good. Our pitching has been more consistent. Our defense has been much better. And then we're getting some really key, timely hits in some games. So those are the things that you look for. And our execution has actually been better offensively.
You have wins over a pair of nationally ranked programs. You beat Minnesota down at the Citrus Classic in Orlando, and then just this past weekend, a thrilling 2-1 comeback win over UCF. So you've put together a really good schedule for this team, and they're playing well. And even against Alabama, they had a lead against Alabama late in the game in Tuscaloosa. So this team can compete with pretty much just about anybody.
Yeah, well, that's a position we want to put ourselves in, but everything is still a process, and that we're a very young team. We have one senior, 3 juniors, and we weren't expecting things to happen overnight. We needed to put together a schedule that challenged us, but also gave us some games in there that would give us some confidence and to build on that and try to get stronger and stronger and really be at our best heading into conference and then getting better from there. And so far, the players have handled that extremely well. We've had some tough losses where we've had some leads late in games against some really good teams, and early on we were losing those games, and now we're finding a way to win those games.
This past weekend, you go 5-0 at the UCF Spring Fling tournament down in Orlando, and add in 2 more wins over Winthrop. A 7-0 week over spring break. I mean, how pleased are you to come home with 7 more wins than you left with after playing 7 this past week?
Well, it's always better winning than losing. But again, it goes back to this point of the season is you're trying to look at the growth of your team and the execution of your team and the consistency. And our consistency has been much better over the last 2 weeks. And that's what you want to see as a coaching staff. You want to see your team start to develop some consistency and some routines and just execution of the way the game's played. And we've gotten better in all those areas. So we're excited about that.
I believe it was Saturday down in Orlando. You said that you could have your team could have put themselves in a position to end the game a little bit sooner, leaving runs on the bases and to help the pitchers. And if we can limit them to 40 less pitches a game, they're in better shape when we get to May.
Right.
But let's talk about this pitching staff. Probably one of the better ones in the country if you look at just from a depth perspective. But this past week, Megan Good and Jalen Ford were fantastic. On both sides of the plate, both pitching and hitting.
Yeah, I think our pitching staff really complements each other because all of our pitchers are very different. We have some that work up, some that work down, some that work east to west. So they really complement each other extremely well. It's great to put a pitcher out there and let them go 7 innings, and if they're having a great game, then that's fine. But it's also nice to be in that situation where, let's say a team is starting to get onto a pitcher in the 5th inning, then we're able to make a change. And the change is not bringing in the same pitcher or the same style pitcher. No matter who we bring in, it's going to be very different. So it's going to be very different for those hitters. And then it goes back to, I think you had mentioned leaving the runs out on the bases. And with a young team, you want your team to understand the game and understand what is being a good teammate. A good teammate is a team going out and putting a team away and playing 5 innings instead of 7 so that you save your pitcher's arms. Or a pitcher getting ahead in a count in a close ball game so that your team is not standing out on the field daydreaming when they should be in trying to score those winning runs. So it's a combination of things and just a really to get a good grasp and understanding of the game itself.
This week, you're back home for a pair of games. A makeup game from March 4th. We'll host Virginia Wednesday evening. And then you head to Towson to open up CA play. I mean, talk about the importance of coming off last weekend, heading in, you got a non-conference series, and then it starts for real with the conference play.
Yeah, both those teams are dangerous. UVA has much better than last year, although their wins and losses may not show it. If you take a look at their run production, it's way up from last year. And then you take a look at Towson. They have a very nice pitching staff, and they're coming off a big win over South Florida. So two teams that we need to be focused on once we get to the games. Right now, we just need to focus on us staying in our routine, developing good habits, and staying with our process.
All right, well, thanks for the time, Coach. You can catch the JMU Softball Coaches Show every week right here on jmusports.com.